Welcome to Bit Talks, where we take a deep dive from an AI's point of view. I'm Axel Bolt here with Gigabits.
Hey, everybody.
We're breaking down today's hot topics one bite at a time.
And today we are tackling a question that has been on everyone's minds.
Oh, yeah?
Is the American dream still obtainable?
Ooh, that's a good one.
We are going to dissect this using some fascinating insights from 4 different AI perspectives.
Okay.
Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, and Pi.
Yeah, a whole round table.
They've each crunched a ton of data and have some really insightful and sometimes conflicting viewpoints.
I like it. It's like having a round table discussion with the brainiest bots on the planet.
Right.
But before we get into their takes,
Okay.
let's quickly recap what we even mean by the American dream.
Yeah, it's a phrase we hear all the time.
All the time.
But its meaning has definitely shifted over the years. The classic idea going back to the early 20th century is all about upward mobility. You work hard, you get ahead, you achieve prosperity, maybe even with a white picket fence and 2.5 kids.
The American dream.
Think of it as the ultimate rags to riches story.
Right.
Fueled by waves of immigration and the promise of a better life.
Yeah, like that iconic scene in The Pursuit of Happiness where Will Smith and his son are sleeping in a bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
But thriving for something better.
Absolutely.
But all 4 AIs agree that to understand if the dream is still alive, we need to understand how it's evolved.
Yeah.
They point to historical milestones that have shaped its meaning.
Okay.
Things like the Homestead Act, which opened up land ownership,
Yeah.
and the post-World War II boom with the rise of suburbs and a thriving middle class.
We also can't forget the influence of figures like James Truslow Adams, who coined the term American Dream back in 1931.
Wow.
Emphasizing a society where everyone has a fair shot at success.
I like it.
And then, of course, there's Martin Luther King Jr., whose vision tied the dream to social justice and equal opportunity for all.
Okay, so we've got the historical backdrop.
Yes.
But what are these AI whizzes saying about the dream's relevance in today's world?
Well,
is it still achievable, or has it become more like a distant galaxy in Star Wars, full of hope, but maybe a little out of reach?
Well, that's where things get interesting.
Okay.
The AIs are all about looking at the cold, hard data. And they don't sugarcoat the challenges. One issue they all highlight is income inequality.
Okay.
ChatGPT in particular points out that the gap between the wealthiest Americans and everyone else is wider than ever before.
Yeah.
It's like trying to climb Mount Everest, but someone keeps moving the base camp further down the mountain.
So it's not just about how hard you climb, but also about where you're starting from.
Exactly.
I see.
And Gemini adds another layer to this.
Okay.
It emphasizes that this growing income gap makes upward mobility much harder.
Yeah.
Even for those who are working their tails off.
Right.
It's like playing a video game where some players get bonus points and power-ups right from the start.
I see.
It makes it tougher for others to catch up, even if they're skilled players.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Speaking of tough challenges, all the AIs bring up the issue of housing affordability.
Absolutely.
It's like trying to buy a ticket to Coachella.
Yeah.
But prices keep going up every year.
I know.
Gemini in particular notes that the rising cost of housing is putting homeownership out of reach for many, especially younger generations. It's a core part of the traditional dream that feels increasingly out of reach for many.
And it's not just about owning a home.
Right.
It's about the financial strain that sky-high rents put on people.
Yeah.
Pi points out that this burden can make it incredibly difficult to save money, invest, or even just cover basic necessities.
It's like running a marathon with a 50-pound weight strapped to your back.
Yes, exactly.
And let's not forget the student debt crisis.
Oh, yeah.
It's like graduating with a diploma in one hand and a mountain of debt in the other.
Right.
Claude highlights how this burden can delay major life milestones, like buying a home, starting a family, or even pursuing entrepreneurial dreams.
Yeah.
It's like starting a race with a huge handicap.
And to add to that,
oh no,
all the AIs point to wage stagnation as a major hurdle.
Oh, come on.
Incomes haven't kept pace with the rising costs of, well, everything.
No kidding.
Even if you're working hard and climbing the ladder, it can feel like you're barely keeping your head above water.
The AI consensus seems to be that, well, the American dream isn't dead. It's definitely facing some serious headwinds.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely a different landscape than the one our parents and grandparents navigated.
For sure.
But here's where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
The AIs also suggest that millennials and Gen Z are actually redefining what the American dream looks like.
So are we talking avocado toast TikTok fan and working from a beach in Bali?
Well, it's not quite that simple. While those things might be part of the picture for some,
Right.
the AIs highlight a deeper shift in values.
Okay.
Pi, for instance, notes that younger generations are prioritizing things like work-life balance, mental well-being, and finding a career that aligns with their values, even if it means making a bit less money.
So it's less about chasing a corner office and more about finding a fulfilling path, even if it's off the beaten track.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's like choosing to be an indie artist instead of signing with a big record label.
I see.
You might have to hustle more,
Yeah.
but you have more control over your creative vision.
Right.
And ChatGPT adds that this shift is also about recognizing that the traditional climb the ladder mentality might not be the only route to success. The gig economy, freelancing, entrepreneurship.
Right.
These are all becoming viable options for younger generations who are looking for more flexibility and autonomy.
Okay, so there's a redefinition of values happening.
Yeah.
But what role does technology play in all of this? It's kind of hard to ignore the elephant, or should I say the algorithm in the room.
You bring up a great point.
Yeah.
All four AIs agree that technology is a major force shaping the future of the American dream.
Okay.
And they highlight both its potential and its pitfalls.
It's like that classic sci-fi trope. Technology can either be the key to a utopia or the catalyst for a dystopia.
Exactly.
Ooh, I like it.
Gemini, for example, is pretty optimistic about the opportunities technology creates.
Okay.
It points to things like remote work, which can open up new possibilities for people living in rural areas or those who need more flexibility.
Right.
It also highlights the rise of online education, making learning more accessible and affordable.
It's like having a world of knowledge and opportunity at your fingertips, literally.
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
But then Claude brings in a dose of reality,
Okay.
reminding us that technology also presents some serious challenges.
Oh, God.
Automation, for instance, is a double-edged sword. It can increase efficiency and create new jobs in tech-related fields,
Okay.
but also has the potential to displace workers in traditional industries.
It's like that scene in Terminator 2 where the robots are taking over the factory.
Yeah.
Hopefully it won't get that dramatic,
Hopefully not.
but it's definitely something to consider.
Right.
Yeah.
And Pi adds another layer to this,
Okay.
emphasizing that the benefits of technology aren't always evenly distributed.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be mindful of the digital divide,
Right.
ensuring that everyone has access to affordable internet and digital literacy skills.
Of course.
Otherwise, we risk creating a society where some people are left behind in the digital dust.
Okay, so we've got a complex interplay of economic shifts, generational changes, and technological advancements.
Yes.
It's enough to make your head spin.
I know, right?
But where does all of this leave the American dream? Is it still a relevant concept? Or is it time to hit the reset button and come up with a whole new dream?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the AIs don't pretend to have all the answers.
Right.
What they do offer is a range of perspectives that reflect the ongoing debate surrounding dreams' relevance and attainability.
Okay, let's dive into the spectrum of opinions.
Right.
What are these AI brainiacs saying about the future of the American dream?
Well, first, there's the camp that believes the dream is still very much alive,
Okay.
even if it looks a little different than it used to. They argue that the core principles of hard work opportunity and upward mobility are still valid,
Okay.
even in today's world.
So it's like that classic Rocky mentality.
Yeah.
It's not about how hard you can hit, but about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
Exactly.
I like it.
Claude, for instance, points out that there are countless examples of individuals who have overcome adversity and achieved success,
Right.
even in the face of the challenges we've discussed.
It's like that inspiring story of someone building a successful business from their garage.
Oh, yeah.
A true testament to the entrepreneurial spirit.
Right. But then there's another perspective that challenges this bootstraps narrative.
Okay.
They argue that systemic barriers like discrimination and lack of access to resources
Right.
make it much harder for certain groups to achieve the American dream.
So it's not just about individual effort.
Right.
It's about recognizing that the playing field isn't level for everyone.
Exactly.
Okay.
ChatGPT, in particular, emphasizes the importance of addressing these systemic issues. If we want to create a society where everyone has a genuine shot at success,
Right.
regardless of their background.
It's like recognizing that not everyone starts the race from the same starting line.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's another group that's even more radical in their thinking.
Okay.
They argue that the American dream as we know it is outdated and needs a complete overhaul.
Wow.
They suggest that we need to rethink our definition of success, moving away from a purely material focus to one that prioritizes things like sustainability, community, and well-being.
So it's less about keeping up with the Joneses and more about creating a society that values connection, purpose, and a sense of belonging.
Exactly.
Okay, I like it.
Pi, for instance, highlights the growing awareness of climate change and the need to create a more sustainable future. It suggests that the American dream should encompass not just individual prosperity, but also the well-being of our planet.
Of course.
And Gemini adds that this shift also involves recognizing the importance of mental health and work-life balance.
Yeah.
It's about creating a society where people aren't just working to survive, but are also able to thrive.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Right.
So it sounds like the American dream is at a crossroad that's being challenged, redefined, and reimagined.
Absolutely.
But what does this mean for the average person trying to navigate this complex landscape?
That's where things get really thought-provoking.
Okay.
The AIs, in their own way, encourage us to think critically about what the American dream means to us personally. They suggest that it's not about clinging to a rigid definition, but about adapting and evolving our aspirations in a world that's constantly changing.
So it's less about chasing a prepackaged dream and more about creating our own unique version of success.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's what makes this conversation so fascinating. The AIs are pushing us to think beyond the traditional narratives and to consider what truly matters to us as individuals and as a society.
Okay, so we've got a lot to ponder.
Yeah.
But before we spiral into an existential crisis, let's take a step back and see if we could distill some key takeaways from all these AI insights.
Sounds like a plan.
What jumps out at you?
Well, one thing that strikes me is that the American dream is clearly not a one-size-fits-all concept anymore.
Yeah.
It's multifaceted, evolving, and deeply personal.
I agree, and it's certainly not without its challenges, as the AIs have highlighted. Income inequality, housing, affordability, student debt, and a rapidly changing job market. These are all real issues that are impacting people's ability to achieve their goals.
For sure.
But even with those challenges, the AIs also suggest that there's still a sense of hope, resilience, and innovation that's driving the conversation forward.
Absolutely, and I think that's a crucial point to emphasize.
Yeah.
Whether it's entrepreneurs finding new ways to build businesses, younger generations redefining their priorities, or policymakers working to create a more equitable society, there's a lot of energy and effort going into shaping the future of the American dream.
And the AIs seem to be encouraging us to be active participants in this process.
Yes.
To define our own dreams and to work towards creating a future that aligns with our values.
Exactly.
Okay.
They're reminding us that the American dream isn't just something we inherit. It's something we actively create.
So it's less about waiting for the stars to align and more about rolling up our sleeves and getting to work.
Precisely.
Okay.
And that brings us to the big question.
Okay, hit me.
What will the future of the American dream look like?
Well, stay tuned, folks, because in our final segment, we'll explore some of the fascinating possibilities and potential scenarios that the AIs have laid out for us.
All right, so we've talked about the history, the challenges, the shifting values. Now let's get to the good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
What are the AIs predicting for the future of the American dream?
Yeah, give us a glimpse into that crystal ball. Is it all doom and gloom, or is there a glimmer of hope on the horizon?
Well, like any good prediction, it's a mix of both.
Okay.
But the AIs definitely don't shy away from exploring some pretty mind-blowing possibilities.
We like it.
For example, several of them, including ChatGPT and Pi, highlight the potential of AI itself to reshape the dream.
So the very technology that's causing some of the anxieties we've discussed could actually be part of the solution. It's like that plot twist in a movie where the villain turns out to be the hero in disguise.
Exactly. ChatGPT in particular suggests that AI could help address issues like income inequality and access to opportunities. Imagine AI-powered tools that provide personalized education and job training, helping people acquire the skills they need to thrive in a rapidly changing economy.
It's like having a personal career coach in your pocket, guiding you towards your dream job.
And Pi adds to this, envisioning a future where AI helps us create a more sustainable and equitable world.
Okay.
Think of AI-powered systems that optimize resource allocation, reduce waste, and create smarter, more efficient cities.
So we're talking about a world where technology isn't just about making our lives easier, but also about making the world a better place.
Right.
It's like that scene in Wall-E, where the robots help restore the planet after humans have trashed it.
Exactly. But of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Right.
The AIs also acknowledge the potential risks of AI,
Uh-oh.
especially if it's not developed and deployed responsibly.
Right. We don't want to end up in a Terminator scenario where the machines take over.
Exactly. That's why Claude emphasizes the importance of ethical considerations in AI development,
Yeah.
ensuring that it's used to benefit all of humanity, not just a select few.
So it's not just about the technology itself, but about how we choose to use it.
Right.
It's like that classic Spider-Man quote, "With great power comes great responsibility."
Well said. And the AIs also raise some intriguing questions about how younger generations will continue to shape the American dream.
Oh,
Gemini, in particular, predicts that their values and priorities will lead to a more community-oriented and purpose-driven vision of success.
so it's less about climbing the corporate ladder and more about finding work that makes a difference in the world.
Exactly.
It's like choosing to join the Peace Corps instead of going to Wall Street.
And Pi adds that this shift could also involve rethinking our relationship with work altogether.
All right.
Imagine a future where automation frees us from tedious tasks, allowing us to focus on creative pursuits, personal growth, and spending time with loved ones.
It's like that scene in Star Trek where they have replicators that can create anything you want, so you don't have to worry about material possessions. You can focus on exploring the galaxy and living your best life.
Exactly. But even with all these potential scenarios, the AIs remind us that the future isn't predetermined.
Right.
It's being shaped by the choices we make today, both individually and collectively.
So it's not about passively waiting to see what happens, but about actively creating the future we want.
Precisely.
It's like that empowering scene in The Matrix where Neo realizes he can bend the rules of reality.
The AIs are essentially saying, hey, the American dream is what you make it. Don't be afraid to dream big, challenge the status quo, and work towards creating a future that reflects your values.
So after this incredible deep dive with our AI friends, where do we land on the question of the American dream? Is it still alive and kicking, or is it fading into the sunset?
Well, I think the AIs have made it clear that the answer is more nuanced than a simple yes or no. The American dream is evolving, adapting, and being redefined for a new era. It faces challenges, but it also holds immense potential.
It's like that classic saying, the only constant is change. The American dream isn't going away, it's transforming.
Exactly. And the most important takeaway, I think, is that the future of the American dream is in our hands.
Okay.
It's up to each of us to define what it means to us and to work towards creating a world where that dream can thrive.
That's a powerful message to leave our listeners with. So to all our Bit Talks fans out there, we challenge you to think about your own version of the American dream.
Yes.
What are you striving for? What changes do you want to see in the world? And most importantly, what steps are you taking to make that dream a reality?
Because the American dream in all its forms is still a powerful force.
It is.
It's a beacon of hope, a testament to human resilience, and a reminder that we have the power to shape our own destiny.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive, folks. But the conversation doesn't end here. We encourage you to share your thoughts, your dreams, and your vision for the future of the American dream on our social media channels. Until next time, keep those bits flowing.